Good evening, PTA family. I'm so excited to be back on another Wednesday with Frank, and we have a jam-packed, exciting program to bring to you. We're going to have some announcements, but as you see, I'm really, really excited. It's like a birthday for me because today the Lightning came back to play. So I just had to do that and irritate you there for a second. I'm so excited for the Lightning and the Rays. It is definitely it's definitely brought a little bit of fun to the last few days. So I'm going to celebrate by wearing a jersey that my son purchased for me for Father's Day. It's the first time I get to wear it. And I'm going to continue to celebrate because we have a wonderful program with an amazing guest. And her name is Lisa Marie Lehigh. Many of you know her as our chairperson for our Reflections. She's been doing this for many years. She's incredibly talented, a wonderful person, a great sense of humor. We're going to have a great time tonight talking about Reflections. So I'm going to go through the announcements. I'm going to buy some time while everyone gets settled and gets dinner on the table for everybody else so they can come to the computer or their phone and get a lot of great information about one of the best programs that PTA has to offer. And it's a program that's been over 50 years long. It's a Reflections program. I'm so excited. So let me get to some announcements and then we'll get to the fun. And I think we have a little bit of a treat as well with Lisa as well. First thing, something that you do not see in the background here, but I usually have it anytime I do speeches or do any type of talking or interviews. It is the three words: inclusion, engagement, and empowerment. I want to continue to kind of hammer down these words to each and every one of us on our local units. These three words are the three words I wanted to bring to our county council and to our local units. They're obviously not words I created, but they are words that I would love for us to really use as guidelines for how we work for the next year and hopefully so. So inclusion, just including everybody as in part of the as at the table, just allowing everyone to have a voice, encouraging everyone to be there and to offer up the talents and the gifts that they have for part of your PTA and part of your community. So that's the first one. Engagement. Engage your local units. Engage if you're president. Engage your board. Find what really drives them. Find their why. Find what really makes them want to be part of PTA and volunteer. So engage them in the things that they are great at. And then finally, empowerment. Give them the resources. Give them the tools. Give them the encouragement. Give them the support, the pat on the back, whatever it takes right now to empower them to do the very best that they can for your unit and for your community. So those are the three words I really want to kind of make sure that we continue to impress upon our local units: inclusion, engagement, and empowerment. Second of all, for those of you who have seen it, great. If you haven't, I encourage you, I suggest it, I recommend it, to jump on the National PTA website. And hopefully we can get the link up here. It is on the National PTA Position Statement Addressing Institutional Racism. It's a well-written document. It is how our national PTA, their position statement on this, it's very specific in nature and very in certain areas. It's a great launching point for your local units on ways that we can impact our communities, both in the schools and in our communities in general. So please take a few minutes to read this. Again, it is the National PTA's position statement on institutional racism. It's pretty new, so please take a few minutes to look at that. And we'd love to have some of your feedback. Let us know some of the things that in there that you feel strongly about, some ways that may help you and your local PTAs to impact your communities and your schools. School of Excellence, speaking of, again, we continue to encourage you to be part of a School of Excellence program. It is a one-year commitment. It is a way for you to put your school and your community together, working together as partners. It is a way to strengthen your community and your schools in a program that allows your school to become stronger, more efficient in nature. It allows your programs to work more effortlessly. It also allows your school to have better school improvements. There's so many great ways for the School of Excellence to affect your school. So please look to it. As you see on the screen here, there are some other great points there, and you can look it up under pta.org forward excellence. Obviously, I'm having fun tonight talking again. So let's try not to do too many of these. So Florida PTA workshops. I've had a couple of people ask me and email me about Florida PTA workshops. They, as I was told, the Florida PTA workshops that were done at Florida conference will be downloaded hopefully this weekend, if not next week. Takes a lot of people to do this, takes a lot of time, so they're working on that. And hopefully you'll have a workshop that you got to attend, or maybe some of you didn't get to attend and you wanted to check it out. So those will be on the Florida PTA page. We will try to put it on our social media or Facebook pages to let you know, to alert you that those are there, and you can take a look and listen on those. Hopefully for those who are able to attend, you got a lot of great information. You were sharing information, getting great resources, and it definitely gave you a real good kickstart into this year. Information on volunteers. We hit this a little bit last week. Nothing has changed, except we're going to continue to tell you to look as the beginning of August hits us. Into the first couple of weeks, you will see information on volunteers on the school websites as well as the county websites. I know many of you, if not most of you, do need to do your background checks and your volunteer forms. So please continue to look for that. I was told by our liaison with our schools that they are still working on that. So if you see something on there that says that you can't get in there yet, it's because it's basically down until they have the new forms filled out and ready to go. So again, continue to just jump on there, check it out, make sure they haven't been uploaded, and when they are, fill it out. Just because we may be doing a lot of off-campus programs and fundraisers, as well as online stuff, you still need to do that volunteer program or volunteer form as well. So keep doing that. And finally, big change, a lot of yeses this year. Virtual general meetings. So the board of directors for Florida PTA voted a week and a half ago to allow virtual general meetings going forward. Now, originally last spring, they gave us a time frame that we could do some virtual meetings. Now it's actually in writing, and it's going to be part of your bylaws. So if you've or if you're up to doing your bylaws soon, you will see the new form already in Article 8 here. If you haven't done your bylaws and they're not up to being done anytime soon, that's okay. You can still do your virtual meetings. The state has asked, though, in a kind, gentle way, if you can redo your bylaws at some point sooner than later, just to have this language included in your bylaws. So at some point, if you have to do them sooner, you'll have it done already. If you don't, I would maybe think about doing it next year, maybe during elections times. But let me kind of explain to you what it's all about. You will, if you have 3 general meetings, which most schools do, and if you have more, that's fine. But if you have 3 general meetings, one of them must be in person, and the balance of those meetings can be held virtually online through a Zoom, a Google, Hangouts, however you want to do it. You can do those meetings through teleconference, conference calls, any electronic media. Now, as you see at the bottom, votes cannot be cast by text-based mediums such as email, texting. So please remember that is still off limits. No texting, no emails. It must be done in real time through a conference call, teleconference, Zoom, however you want to do it. So great news. I know many of you, if not all of you, are very reluctant to have an in-person meeting right now. This solves that issue. We're suggesting, we're not requiring, but we're suggesting maybe hold on to that last in-person meeting till the end of the year. And by that time, hopefully things will have changed. We'll be back in the schools. We'll be doing our same old, and you can have that meeting in person. But for the meantime, please jump on this, have your virtual meetings. If you haven't done your elections, here's a great opportunity to handle that. If you have more questions about that, you saw the emails, email us. We'll be happy to help you out. We'll be happy to actually run your meeting if you need to as well. Thank you very much for all you're doing. It's been a very, very jam-packed summer. Normally we get a chance to kind of decompress. We really haven't this summer, but we know the work is still there. We know our students are still counting on us to be there. All right, so that's it for the announcements for tonight. So What I want to do, give you a couple things here and introduce our guest. Reflections. For those of you who do not know what reflections are, you're going to get a great taste of what a wonderful program is all about through our PTA. Again, it's over 50 years old. Last year we had over 300,000 students from through all the way from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade who were part of this program. And we have a very special guest, which is our chairperson who handles this, and her name is Lisa Marie Lehigh. She is a local unit Robinson High School leader and on her PTA, and again, she's a reflections chair. So, how are we doing, Lisa? Yes.
Hello.
Amen.
First of all, I have to say, I believe I am the thunder. Almost all Tampanians are the thunder right now. So we're glad that the Lightning are back on the ice, and they did so well. So I had to throw a shout out to the Vinnick Sports Group. We believe.
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming out. We're really excited. This is just a wonderful program. I would never be involved in any of this stuff because I have absolutely no talent, but it's so amazing to watch some of our students and how much talent they have every year and get to be at the Reflections Awards show. So what I want to do is throw it to you a little bit because I think you have a small presentation.
Fantastic. Yes. First, I'd like to thank you for including me on this program. It's a huge ensemble that makes the Reflections program possible, all the way from the local units up to national PTA. There are many ensemble players, and we make beautiful music, wonderful canvases. You'll hear more about that as time goes on. But I'd like to start by talking about our Look Within winners. I think there's a slide that Amy Marie can put up for me. You will see, I'd like to congratulate our National PTA Award of Merit winner, Alexander Fullerton. Alexander has been writing music compositions in Hillsborough County for a number of years. He's advanced to Florida PTA for a number of years, as well as National PTA. And this year, his senior year, class of 2020, salutatorian at Newsom High School. Congratulations, Alexander, on that as well. He received an award of merit from National PTA. His piece, Quasi Fantasia, is available in a link on our comments. We couldn't get the live stream to work at a really good quality, and you really should hear this piece in the best possible audio conditions. But Alexander is probably watching right now with his mother online. He is going off to Vanderbilt and Nashville in a couple of weeks. We wish him well. I'm going to miss seeing his annual music composition entries. And if those of you that have been around for a number of years, you might remember Alexander actually played at the award celebration when we had our award celebration over in West County. So, congratulations, Alexander, and thank you for participating for all these years. We wish you all the best. In addition to Alexander, there's another slide. We had 4 Hillsborough County student artists advance to National PTA, and those links can also be found on on the sidebar. Thank you, Amy Marie, for posting those. We had 3 music composition students. You can see their names listed there. You can hear all of those recordings on our Facebook group, and you can see our special artist, visual artist canvas on the right side of the screen. Congratulations to our 4 student artists for their National PTA spectacular. It was fantastic. So you can do it too. You can encourage your kids to participate. And how do you do that? You reflect on the theme. So let's go ahead and look at the theme slide. Every year, National PTA has put on this program, and it started in 1969. The very first theme was Mirror Their World. So the upcoming theme for this year, you can put it on the next screen, is I Matter Because. Pretty captivating. You can enter in a number of different categories, and you can see the different levels there. And I think Amy is going to play the teaser. Doesn't that make you excited and want to submit something for the Reflections program? If you're a local unit, you can go ahead and register on the National PTA website right now. And all of the information is right there. You can go to pta.org/reflections. You will need your official PTA name and your 8-digit PTA ID number. If you don't happen to know that number, there is a little link that you can click in, enter your zip code, and you'll get an option to get that number. So don't let that discourage you. Please go ahead and sign up. You'll be asked which categories you'll be accepting, and why not click all of them, because you never know. And even if you think you're not going to have that many entries, go ahead and sign up. What that will do is allow you access to all of the wonderful resources, including the video that you just saw, that you can then share on your social media channels. There are plenty of student entry forms and guidelines, all of the graphics and images that you will need to create your program, flyers, local leaders guide. Every question that you may have should be answered in that document. And if not, I'm always here to help you. The next thing you can do is sign up for our County Council Facebook Reflections group. Amy Marie is going to link to that in the comments, and there it is on the screen. You can always post your questions in that format, and the more seasoned local unit leaders can answer questions. You can brainstorm ideas and really figure out how to implement the program at your school. And you can go ahead, and the biggest change I think you're really going to like this year is the student entry forms are customizable and savable. So those files have already been uploaded to the Hillsborough County Council website. They're also available on floridapta.org. And you can enter in your personal information, your intake dates, where to drop off the entries, when they're due. It's a 4-page document, and you will need to update pages 1 and page 3. And on page 3, that's where you will enter all of your local unit information. So when the entries advance to County Council, we will know how to contact you to tell you if your students have won. We're showing you a brief listing there of the areas that you have to fill out at the top. These documents, again, are on the County Council Facebook group, as well as on the County Council's website. All of these documents have been uploaded. They're ready for you to customize. Once you type in your information in these forms, please save the file as whatever your school's name is and the student entry form, and that way that information could then be shared with your students. But we really want to encourage you, from National PTA, Florida PTA, and Hillsborough County Council, to please type the information before you distribute these to your students. That's the number one thing we'd like to encourage you to do, besides spread the word. And there are so many different ways you can get the word out. As I mentioned, once you register on the National PTA website, you're going to be able to have all of these graphics you see in front of you. Those are 2 of the posters. Some are in English, some are in Spanish, so we can reach a wider audience. And really what really want you to encourage your students to do is reflect on the theme, create something that's very unique and personal to their interpretation of the theme, and then celebrate their creativity. Hope to see lots of entries this year. And is Frank coming back? Hello.
Woo! All right, I gotta do the thunder. Great job, Lisa.
Thank you.
That was awesome. You answered like half the questions I was going to ask you. You answered them already. So I'm just going to have to make up other ones now. So they might get a little more personal. Sorry.
That's fine.
No, really. I know better than that. I've been married way too long to not know better than that. So let's do a little Q&A. And before we start our Q&A, if you're out there and you have questions about Reflections, exactly what it is, obviously she did a wonderful job, but if you still have questions about it, just chime in on our chat and we will try to answer them. When I say we, I mean Lisa Marie, not me, because you don't want me to make up answers. and we'll do our very best. So this is a great time to find out those things and get some one-on-one information from Lisa Marie, because she is here and ready to help out. So as I say that, yes, thank you. I was actually, one of the things I was going to ask Amy Marie to do is put up a thing for Lisa Marie. A lot of Maries here. All right. Now I just need to call Donnie Marie and we'll be ready to go. So let's get personal a little bit. How did you get involved in PTA, and where did you get involved in PTA?
It's hard for me to admit, but it's been 10 years since I first got involved with the Reflections program. When my daughter started kindergarten, we had a Title I new IB school here in town, and we got the PTA up and running very quickly with the primary goal of participating in the Reflections program. We could have dragged our heels, but we knew that the deadline was fast approaching. So we got all of our paperwork in order for the sole reason of participating in Reflections. That very first year, the theme was diversity means. And that was kind of a hard sell for a kindergartner to try to wrap their head around that. But the good thing about a theme like that is it encourages parents to get involved in the reflection process in creating the artwork. And this year's theme, what I'd encourage people to do, since we're all at home, we have all this time together, one of the good things about PTA is we share information. We've reached all the way out to Alaska PTA and found out that what they do is they encourage their families to look at their cultural heritage from all aspects, the dance, the oral tradition of storytelling, anything that you can come up with your personal cultural heritage, interpret that and reflect it in your artwork. Because as you may or may not know, the Reflections program, the interpretation is judged at 40%. The weighted amount of, it's the biggest weight in judging is the interpretation of the theme and how the artist has incorporated the theme into their artist statement as well as their artwork. And then after that, 30% is over creativity and 30% is technique. So you really want to reflect on this program theme while you're all at home and brainstorm, talk with each other even before you start the creative process in whatever discipline that may be. So that's something unique.
Wow, you gave a lot of good information. I didn't realize any of that as far as the interpretation being so heavily weighted and the creativity. So that's important. And I love the fact that what you said about allowing other areas to use the interpretation of their heritage to be part of it. I think that's amazing, because not only is it a way of expressing themselves, but it's a way of expressing maybe how they've grown up and the importance of their life and their family and their community. So really neat stuff. So it's definitely a learning experience, and thank you very much. So hopefully you know the answer here. If you don't, you're going to have to make it up. How many submissions did Hillsborough County have this past year? Do you know?
I actually do know. We had 457.
457.
Yes, it was, believe it or not, and that was a light year for us. So normally we average about 700 entries, and at a high point when I started 10 years ago, and I have to give a shout out to the Reflections coordinator at that time, is none other than our current Florida PTA secretary, Miss Robin DeVault. So a shout out to her. She brought me up with all the encouragement and support I needed to be in this position that I am now. So thank you to the entire DeVault family. But back in her day, there were about 12 to 1,500 entries. So I'm hoping now that we're all at home and all of these tips are out there in the ether, that we can generate that number of entries again. I'd love to see it.
Absolutely. And yes, the DeVault family, they're like the first family of Hillsborough County. They're the royal family, Raymond, Faith, and of course, Robin. So it all goes back, the lineage all goes back to Robin DeVault. We know that.
It really does. And then Jennifer Patterson at Florida PTA has been very generous with her resources as well. And then we reach across the bay and have collaborations and brainstormings with Pinellas County, with Kay Eaton. She's the Reflections coordinator over there with Pinellas County Council. So it really is a PTA-wide support system. You can Google, you can look at our page, you can look in Pinellas, look all the way at Alaska and see what they suggest for their students and get some ideas.
Well, and you just mentioned a name that I want to kind of go back to real quick because first and foremost, many of you don't know this about Lisa Marie, but I think she's going to be the first person to take reflections to another planet because she's a big NASA person. And if you're on her Facebook page, you'll see all the fun stuff that she does with NASA and the spaceships and everything. So one of these days, she'll probably take other reflections up there. But that means if she's on one of the missions that we can call who at Florida PTA?
Jennifer Patterson.
Okay, very good. So remember that name. Go ahead.
Yes, Jennifer Patterson is a wonderful resource, and she just uploaded her PowerPoint from the leadership convention. It is on floridapta.org/reflections. It is on the files section. It's about 45 minutes, chock full of information. She's fabulous. Wonderful resource.
Awesome thing. But you're much more fabulous because you come from the best county in the state.
Well, yeah, there is that.
But I mean, you have to live with it, right?
Yes, and the good part is we are at Countdown to Launch. United Launch Alliance is going to Mars tomorrow from the Kennedy Space Center.
Oh, yeah?
Heading on over there. So yes, I will be a Martian tomorrow. We are all.
Do you have a seat on that then, or should we?
It's unmanned. Perseverance rover is going with Ingenuity helicopter. So check it out. We might see some drawings that might be some inspiration for some of our student artists. I know that NASA is very popular. It's that whole STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Don't forget math. It's always at the end, but it's very important. Couldn't get to the moon or Mars without any of those things. And I also want to give a shout out. I know I'm throwing out a lot of names, but there is an astronaut who lives in Pinellas County. Her name is Nicole Stott. And right now she has a wonderful Space for Art exhibit on display at Mosey. And there are tons of artistic submissions that were turned in through her foundation. And where we had our award celebration this year, where the big moon man was in the background, there is an art display that you might want to go and see, socially distanced, and check it on out. And it's out of this world, literally.
Literally, nice, bum. Nice. I needed to have the drum roll there. Well, very cool. So what are some of your past favorite themes of reflections?
Well, as a writer, one of my favorite themes was when my daughter was in about, let's see, maybe 4th or 5th grade, was what is your story? And I really liked that theme because it forced you to think a little bit more. Some of these others are kind of abstract, but what is your story brought in the literary element before all of the other creative processes. So even if you wrote music composition, dance choreography, film production, literature, photography, any of those categories, you had to start with a written word. And that really goes back to your interpretation. The artist's statement is very important. So you reflect on the theme and you have to write out up to 100 words. If you go over 100 words, it gets disqualified. So please count and double check your words to make sure you fit within those parameters, because you may interpret the theme beautifully, your artwork may be stellar, but there are rules, and that forces you to follow the rules. Just be careful.
Yeah, that's where I'd be disqualified. I'm not good at following rules, but I'm glad other people are. The talented, people are. So that's really, really cool. So again, those are important things to know, though, because you would hate to put all that time and effort and talent, and then for something as far as just amount of words, to be disqualified. So thank you. What is this year's theme? What does it mean to you personally?
No, and I thought you might ask that, and I hesitate to answer it because I would not like to see my words repeated in a student's entry, because they think, oh, the county council person says this is what I matter because means to her. Maybe I'll put that in mine and get an edge. The whole process, I want it to be a little bit organic for them, and it's kind of an easy way out for me to say. But right now, I'm all about mission to Mars.
I love it. I do love that. That was great. Great way to not have to put yourself out there. And yeah, I know you already mentioned this, but I want you to mention again for those who maybe didn't hear it. What are the date of entries?
When they're due?
When they're due, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay. So I know that we will be having a more detailed training for reflection. So don't worry, those dates are coming up. We will be sharing those once our board meets and confirms our calendar. But rest assured, all of that will be forthcoming. And right now, we're looking at an intake date of mid-November, which is a little later than usual because of the school closures and some people being on campus and off campus. I think we may be moving to more of a digital format for entries, submissions, as well as a gallery. So we're going to play it by ear, but we are looking at all options to see. We may have more accessibility because of this. We may be able to have the literature, film, and dance entries up online for everyone to view. And these are all positives that are coming out of being at home and having time to be creative. But yeah,
Absolutely.
for a date mid-November. You've got some time, but not too
Okay.
don't sit back.
And I'm sure you're going to be on our social media pages giving everybody the dates on that.
Yes.
So as long as you can hear our words here, you'll be updated on those dates of intake as well. So just keep an eye and an ear to that. Because again, we have the best reflections chair in the state. So
I heard it from you.
I am so kissing up tonight.
Okay.
A question I just wrote down, I didn't even think about this, was last year's reflections. Where are they? How will they be distributed for those who we still have at state level?
We still have quite a few of our entries from the schools because, as you know, we usually turn in right around spring break. And we were busy at spring break. We haven't seen our friends, we haven't seen our classmates. So we still have all of the entries, everything from the state has been brought back to county council. We have all of your entries, the only exceptions being the ones that advance to national PTA. So those four are still outstanding, but I've been in touch with those four. The rest of them, we do have an event coming up that just we found out about 2 hours ago. West Shore Plaza is having a back to school celebration. I believe that is on August 8th. We will share that information in our social media channels, and PTA will be there. So if you are a local unit reflections coordinator and you would like to pick up your entries from the Look Within year, please send me an email to that you see scrolling on the screen, and I will make sure to bring your entries to West Shore Plaza for pickup on August 8th from 12 to 4. If you don't email, I won't bring the entries because we really want to try to minimize transport because that's where things can get damaged. Oh, and before I forget, one of the biggest changes for this year with I Matter Because, and this comes from Florida PTA, and as a member of Florida PTA, Hillsborough County is following suit. We are no longer accepting 3D entries. That includes anything protruding from 2D canvases. So no glitter, no stones attached on the canvases, no yarn or fabric or paper. Everything has to be flat on the canvas. That's one thing I wanted to mention right away. So if your students are encouraged to create something, please keep that in mind. There are size limitations that are also clearly outlined in the guidelines that are on the Reflections Facebook group file page, as well as on the County Council and Florida PTA websites. So the information is out there and ready for you to start using.
Okay, and I think you were mentioning about there's still a few, 3 or 4 that are that the state still has, correct? Oh,
Actually, National PTA has the 4 that were listed at the beginning. So there
okay.
are music composition entries and 1 special artist visual arts entry that is still at National PTA. And when we can get those back, we'll be in contact with those 4 students. But
Okay, good.
there's probably about 55 schools that still have to pick up their entries for the Look Within year.
Okay, excellent. Very, very good. So, okay, and you've already touched base with the 4 as well. They know they're still okay. Great, excellent. So, really, what's the best way to for our PTA leaders to talk about reflections and the value of it, the importance of it, how it can make an impact at our schools. What are some, I guess, some tried and true ways that they've been successful in getting that word out and encouraging our students to be part of this?
I think that's one of the things I really like about our Facebook group, our Reflections Facebook group, is we share and brainstorm ideas of what's worked at area schools. And if you're also a member of the Florida PTA Reflections group, you can see what's done statewide. But the number one mission of the program is Reflections was originally designed to enhance and not replace art education at the school. And every school that I've been in through this program, all of the administration is very supportive of it. It ties in well. It doesn't conflict with anything with the state standards. It's just an augmented way for you to incorporate the arts into your educational plan. And I think that you can use the resources that are available to you on, there are files, there are logos in the local leaders guide that's available at Florida PTA and also on the county council website. It's about a 25-page document that gives you a social media campaign outline. It gives you an idea of what to do with press releases, what you can put in your school newsletter. If we had morning shows, if you're going to be back on campus and you have a morning show, there are even morning show announcements. But those could also be modified and used on your social media platforms if you do have a live session, kind of like we're doing tonight. So be creative as a local unit and get the word out there in every way possible. Some of the schools do competitions on campus that we just have to modify. So I think I would encourage all of our local units that are watching tonight, if you have a great idea on how you're going to promote it, Lowry Elementary, I'll shout out, they always do a fantastic job. Gaither High School does a fantastic job of spreading the word, and they're very creative because we have a number of entries from those two schools in particular. And there are probably 75 schools in Hillsborough County that participate every year. So I didn't mean to call them out and slight the other 73, but everyone has something to contribute to the conversation, just like everyone has art that they need to share.
No, and actually, one thing you did do really well there is you mentioned an elementary school and a high school, because I think sometimes we tend to forget this is not an elementary only type program. We have plenty of kids and students who from the high school level. So it's, as I mentioned earlier, but case in point, what you just said about students from grades from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. So please don't feel like your student has outgrown this.
Definitely not.
So
those students that, if art, excuse me, if art or music were not your electives in high school, you still have an opportunity to participate, even if you didn't take those classes on campus. You can still write something and write a music composition, do dance choreography, even if you're not at Blake in our performing arts school here in town. You can be at any school. And I want to give a shout out again. We're a community that does something very right. Plant City, all the way from kindergarten through high school, is incredibly supportive of this program. Before their entries even are submitted to county council, they have their own citywide display in a building there in the middle of town. It's unbelievable. So a shout out to Plant City and their support of the arts in this program. Look at their page, follow what they do. Hopefully they'll contribute to the conversation in our Facebook group because they are doing it right.
Awesome. That's great to hear. That really is, again, you've hit 3 different areas of Hillsborough County, and it's nice to see that they're all being part of this program. I know on a personal note, and this is just sharing information, we didn't get a chance to do it because of COVID, but the plan was to have our school orchestra play at a night when we were going to have all the reflections and all the artwork being on display and make it a performing arts night. And unfortunately, COVID kind of hit us on this year, but we plan on doing it this coming year, and we're excited about that. So there's so many different ways for our PTAs to present this as a program uh, in your schools, and to just again impact the kids that are there that are being part of it, and also the kids who may haven't been part of it, but maybe this encourages them to be part of it the next year. We have a question here. Can a student submit without a local PTA?
Hello. Yes, you can. What Florida PTA has set up for that is you would actually enter through the Sunshine State PTA. If you go to floridapta.org/reflections, you will see the option to enter through the Sunshine State PTA.
Right.
And there are
Very
guidelines in place for that. We don't have a link on that at County Council, but thank you for bringing it up. We will make sure to include that link. I'll put a little tag to Amy Marie, who I know is taking notes right now. So we will include the Sunshine State. And there
She,
it is. Wow.
yeah, look how quick she is, right? I
That's
mean,
unbelievable.
it's scary sometimes. I worry. And thank you, Gwen. It's good to see you up here. Gwen is with Thompson Elementary. They are an award-winning school this past year, and we're excited about them. And we're always excited about having. And she's also a teacher. So thank you for being a PTA leader and a teacher at Thompson. Good job. I don't see any other questions. I think we've. Oh, I see. Well, Edeline. Hey, Edeline. I saw you today at the National PTA. It was great seeing your name. Thank you for jumping in on us here. Edeline is one of, let me throw a little shout out to Edeline. She is with Pinellas County. Pinellas County won the Jan Hart Award for Diversity. And I always say the last name, Jan Hart Domain Award for Diversity. And they were recognized today at National PTA. And that was exciting. So great job, Pinellas. You're a great partner. You're a great neighbor, and we're so excited for you. And hopefully, you guys will continue the hard work. So there's a great group over there. Kind of want to leave it in your hands here. Anything else that we missed? I didn't ask. Something you want to make sure that everybody hears?
I think, thank you for your time. And I think this was a great opportunity for people to learn a little bit more about the Reflections program, get fired about the upcoming theme, and to realize that we're all in this together. We're going to do great things, and we're going to get the word out there in any way, shape, or form possible. So thank you for participating. I look forward to seeing your student entries.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You can hang here. Just don't go anywhere. We want. I think everybody would rather see your face than mine anyway. So I want a little shout out to all of our local units here. It's been a very busy summer. There's been a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions. They're going to continue. Obviously, everyone knows where I'm going with this statement. We continue to encourage you to be part of the meetings on our school board. From our superintendent and our school board on what's happening in school. We continue to encourage you to be a voice. Your voice is as important as any school board member or superintendent that's on that TV or that computer. You're the most important resource that we have in this community, you and your students. So continue to make your voice heard through emails, through phone calls, and obviously if you want to show up at the board meeting, do that. But we know it's been a tough summer. We know it's going to continue for a little while longer, and the uncertainty of it is. But we wanted to bring you something special this week with Reflections, because it is something to put a smile on your face. It's something that we celebrate every year. Again, I wish I could take any credit for doing anything in Reflections. The best I could do last year was open a door and say hello to people when they walked in to the rewards. But you know what? That was good enough for me. But we hope you enjoyed tonight. We want to continue to bring you interesting, impactful programs and people just like Lisa Marie this week that will help you and your PTA to be as successful and impactful as possible for your units. We want to continue to bring you resources and information that will continue to help you as we navigate through a very, very interesting and uncertain and somewhat frightful new school year. We know it's going to be completely different, and we are thankful for all the hard work that our local units do. We really are, because you are the ones who make do all the heavy lifting and the hard work. You're the ones that get to talk to your students and get to change their lives. You're the stakeholders in this. So thank you so much for doing all you do. And again, thank you, Lisa Marie, for being on here and for bringing a very special program to our Wednesday night. It was fun.
It's my
So
pleasure.
with that, oh, go ahead.
It's my pleasure. And now we're going to do carpool karaoke, right? Unless that's a copyright infringement with Jenn.
Carpool karaoke, yes, absolutely. You will lead us off with the first song with it's I Will Survive. Is that the one you wanted to do?
There we do. Or I actually am, I have Macy Vasterling's entry this year stuck in my head. It's I can do anything. So
did she do that on the did Minnie do that? Did Minnie do that for the Florida PTA?
She might have, yes.
She might have. That's great. So thank you again for everyone coming out tonight. We had a great time. Again, you see Lisa Marie's information, reflections, HCCPTA, PTSA.org. Take a picture of that. Make sure to send her any questions. We will make sure she gets it if you send it to me. She's an amazing advocate for our schools. She's a wonderful person. And one of these days, we're going to be sending reflections from Hillsborough County to Mars in her hands, we hope. So, so with that, Amy Marie, thank you very much for being behind the scenes. You're